Stop upgrading your bike. The stiffness of your frame doesn't matter, the roundness of your chainring doesn't matter, and the fact that your bike weighs 15 pounds, 25 pounds, or hell, even 35 pounds doesn't matter. Your bike and your gear don't matter. Here's why. I know it's easy to point the finger at me and say, Zach, that's easy for you to say. You get to ride really nice bikes. But that wasn't always the case, and that's especially true for the biggest ride that I've ever done. I rode up to my B&B in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, hosted by a fellow cyclist, and 250 miles away from my starting point in Taipei. My host looked at me wearing jeans, a t-shirt, and a backpack with my $500 loop fixed gear, and all he could do was shake his head and say, wow, you are number one. I'd like to think that he was actually impressed and not just because of the language barrier. Having a nice bike and nice gear doesn't automatically make you a better rider and give you awesome experiences. I know people with full NJS builds, high-end Reynolds 725 steel bikes, Sugino 75s, Dura Ace 7600s, you name it, and they'll ride 2 miles a day if they even ride at all. And in the rare event that we do go riding together, they'll get dropped at the first hill or they'll start to burn out after about 20 miles. And no disrespect to them, I just want to use them as an example. And it doesn't even matter that they're not the fastest riders in the world, and you'll see that in a later point that I'll make. On that same note, I have a bike that's nicer than most people's, and I can still get dropped by a 16-year-old punk on a sub $100 conversion just because he's riding every free second that he has. And when I took a beginner track racing class at the San Diego Velodrome, most of us, including myself, didn't have track legal bikes, so we learned on loaner bikes. And the guy with the nicest bike there had a Tonelli Mash Parallax, complete with archetypes, lace to fill hubs, omniums, the whole shebang, and it turned out he was one of the slowest people in the class. And I'm sure that you've dropped your fair share of weekend warriors that went to their local bike shop and were sold the newest, best, lightest carbon roadies that are just way too overkill for their needs. Bikes aren't fast. People are fast. When I was buying my fixed gear in Taiwan, I was shopping with the intent to eventually do my multi-day tour on it. But because I was on a budget and I already had a nice bike back in the US, I wanted to get away with as cheap of a bike as possible while still getting the job done. Your bike and your gear matter, but only up to a point. No matter how much you spend on your bike, by far the most important factor to nail down is the fit. Getting the proper fit will, 1, make you more comfortable and allow you to avoid injuries and pulling hammies and such. 2, makes you faster than any drivetrain, wheel, or frame set upgrade ever will, which will 3, allow you to enjoy your bike to the fullest and get those awesome experiences that cycling brings. Durability is the second most important factor when it comes to how nice your bike and how nice your gear is. If you enjoy riding your bike, I would imagine that you want to keep riding your bike and keep enjoying your bike. But that's kind of hard to do when your bike always has parts that are breaking down and is always in a state of needing repair. If you're spending more time working on your bike than riding your bike, that's a problem. Otherwise, just keep riding your bike until something breaks down and you need to fix it, or until you need to do your maintenance so stuff doesn't break down. Other than these 2 factors, not a whole lot really matters when it comes to how nice your bike and your gear are. The stiffness of your bike means squat. Saving a few pounds on your bike will save you a few seconds over rides that span hours, and having the most aerodynamic components can save you a few minutes over rides that span hours. Even with durability in mind, we tend to go overboard and start searching for the most bomb-proof wheels that money can buy. But we need to take a step back. We don't need wheels that can survive a bomb. We need wheels that can survive riding over a pothole at 20 miles an hour. The truth is that most bikes and components perform to most people's needs just fine. If you spend $100 on a Walmart bike, you're not buying a bike, you're buying a toy, so it's a better idea to spend a little bit more than that. If you spend $250 on a bike, you can get a bike that's good enough for regular commuting. And if you spend $400 to $500 on a bike, that's the sweet spot for fixed gears. These bikes will be able to handle whatever you want to throw at them, and my bike was able to handle regular riding in the rain, sprinting through Taipei's heavy traffic, climbing mountains, and my 250-mile, 4-day bike tour. And now that bike has a new home with my friend and first-time fixed gear rider, where it will have many more miles to come. Spending beyond $500 will give you a marginally nicer bike, but at the expense of a whole lot more money, and you'll experience diminishing returns. Before I set out for my tour of Taiwan, I had my doubts. Most people tour on geared bikes with panniers for optimum comfort over long distances. I had a fixed gear, and a backpack. On top of that, I had risers which offer one hand position, or two if you count no hands as a hand position, which are probably the worst handlebar choice for long distance riding. And my drivetrain was full of gunk because it's always raining in Taiwan, and I was too lazy to be bothered to properly maintain it. And I knocked a handful of spokes loose in my rear wheel, like you could hear the clicking with every rotation of the wheel, because I like to hop up and down curbs and ride over cobblestones for funsies. I'm not the nicest to my bikes, I like to beat them up. I was also sick with the flu, which wasn't helping my motivation much either. My bike and my body were in no condition to ride 250 miles and climb 9,400 feet. This is my first multi-day tour, so I don't really know what to expect, other than to expect the unexpected. Expect to, one, have fun, and two, also not have fun, but mostly the second one. But I sucked it up, and I did it. It didn't matter that my bike and my gear weren't ideal for bike touring. What mattered was that I had 1 week left in Taiwan and that I'd been looking forward to doing this multi-day tour for 5 months. What mattered was that I wanted to ride farther than I ever had before and complete my first multi-day tour on a fixed gear naturally. Part of why I love riding fixed is its simplicity. All you do is hop on the bike and pedal as far and as fast as your legs can take you. It strips away the BS of thinking that you need the stiffest, lightest bike with the best gear ratios for the terrain, and it strips away the BS of thinking that you need the most comfortable jerseys and shorts made of materials that are normally reserved for astronauts. All you actually need is the desire to achieve your goals. And most people don't ride with the goal to have the nicest bike and the nicest gear. We ride because we want to have fun, or we want to get in shape or stay in shape. We ride to get from point A to point B. We ride because we want to be the fastest that we possibly can be. And we ride to see just how far our legs can take us before they decide to quit, and having awesome experiences along the way and meeting lots of crazy people before our legs quit. No amount of money can give you these achievements and these experiences. Only the burning desire to lose 20 pounds and keep it off, or to ride 2,000 miles in 2 months, or the desire to win your next race will. You can't buy it, but you have to want it. And in the wise words of Eddie Merckx, don't buy upgrades, ride upgrades. I ride at the train station in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, wearing my jeans, a t-shirt, and my backpack, with my basic $500 fixed gear that desperately needed a trip to the bike shop. The cashier handed me my ticket bound for Taipei. When I looked at it, I had to double take. The train's departure time, 2:30 p.m. Arrival time, 10:30 p.m. Shout out to the super subscribers that support the channel through Patreon, with a fixie famous shout out to Jeziel. The contributions that you make directly support the channel and allow me to make cool videos like this one, and thank you for that. Currently, we're about a third of the way to the patron goal, and once we get to $150 per month, then I can start making videos twice a week. So please do consider supporting the channel on Patreon so we can have more videos. That'd be cool. And if you've already ridden your bike today, why don't you reward yourself by watching another fixed gear video? And if you haven't ridden your bike today, stop watching me right now, close down your device, get on the rollers, get outside if the weather is nice enough, ride your bike. Life is short, but don't make it shorter, so hop on your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.